Hello and welcome back to the channel for a special video. These are my top 5 tips to answer questions I see asked about RLS Career Overhaul. These are my answers to the top 5 non-bug related questions I see on the RLS Discord and in my various chats. Today we are going to be looking at how to access the phone, how to do repo missions, how to do taxi missions, how to get to and from Italy, and how to get to and from Hirochi. There will be timestamps down in the comments down below and on the timeline, so you can skip to the part that you need. Let's get into it. First up, we are going to enable the phone app. That allows us to do a couple of the other things that we are going to look at today. So to start, go into options, into controls, type in phone. By default, the phone app does not have a hotkey, so you just have to assign one, and that's how you gain access. So I'm going to click on the plus sign, and then I'm going to assign it my left D-pad on my controller. And here's how you can do all that. Hit apply. Now we have a hotkey for our toggle phone. So if we go out in the world and hit that, we get our phone. Hit it again to make it go away. All right, tip number 2, how to access and do repo missions. So first step is having some sort of repo vehicle. One of the options here works. There are so many configurations. These are just a few that I had on hand that I could show. Over here, first one, we have our repo arm. This is kind of more your basic setup, some sort of D-series with the repo arm. Behind that, we do have our D-series pulling a tilt-back trailer. Any sort of trailer that you can get a vehicle up onto could work for doing repos. And then over here, we have 2 different options for tilt-back trucks. We have a D-series with a smaller tilt-back, and then we have the T-series with the big one. There's also some MD options. You can do the tow hook or pull a trailer with an MD series as well, and a few other configurations that do work, but these are kind of the basic ones. So let's go ahead and get into actually doing some repos. So we're going to take this basic D-series here. I haven't finished tuning this one up. There's still some issues, but we will take this over to our commercial garage and we'll get started from there. Okay, so once you have your repo truck, whatever flavor you decide to go with, all sorted out, we're going to go into our garage. And step 1 is to change the license plate. So we go in here, we go into my vehicles. We go to personalized license plate, and we're just going to type repo, all lowercase. This one was already done. So repo, all lowercase. Hit apply. We should see that reflected on the license plate if we go look. It'll be all capitals on here, but it should be all lowercase when you do it. So step 1. Step 2 is to get into the truck. Now, in the old versions, this would trigger a repo job, and that's what's kind of catching people out. Now, once you're in the repo truck, you're going to open your phone and you're going to click repo, and you'll see generate mission. Now, if you're in a vehicle that doesn't have the right license plate or you're not in the vehicle, this will say requires repo vehicle. If it says that, just like I said, set up a proper truck. Click on generate mission, and we're going to get our first job. All right, so we do have a Gavril Marshall drag car here that we're going to go pick up. So we've accepted that. We can just close the phone. The map will tell us where we have to go. It's all the way out over there. So I'm going to go ahead and start this up. We're going to drive over there and we're going to pick up this drag truck. All right, so we are rolling up on our pickup here. So we're just going to get into this parking lot. As we get closer, we will get a destination. You'll see it in the top left. So we'll just pull up on it here. This is our vehicle that we have to pick up. See which way it's oriented. Okay. So depending on how you're doing it, you're going to obviously position differently. This is a rear-wheel drive car, so I want to pick it up by the rear wheels. I'm hoping the wheelie bars aren't going to be too much of a problem. We'll see what I have to do here. So we're just going to swing around, come in from behind. There's our destination. It's going to Jefferson Motors. So most vehicles you want to pick up from the rear, and there's some other considerations, but we're going to go ahead. This one's nice and easy, rear-wheel drive. It's got good traction, so it should stick pretty well. So let me get this hooked up to the back, and we will talk about what's next. Okay, so we have our car up on the lift here. You can see it's hooked onto the back wheels. It's not perfectly straight. Hopefully it'll straighten out as we drive. This wheel's a little off, but best we could. Had to tilt it back a fair bit. We're going to get in here and make sure everything's set up. So we want the park brake on, and depending on the setup. So this has a, I believe this will have a transaxle. No. So we will just put it in park. That'll lock the back wheels even more. We have the brake on. We'll turn off the engine just so it's not noisy, and then we can exit the vehicles from here. If it was a front wheel drive, you wouldn't want to put it in park, put it in gear, anything like that, because you want the front wheels to roll. So you just got to consider how you're loading it onto the various devices. We'll get out. That's all hooked up. We should have it stuck. We get back in our truck. Now from here we can check the repo job. Tells us, which is super nice. Now it tells us where it's going. So if we ever lose the waypoint, which looks like we have, we can still see where it's going, which is nice. That's a new feature on the phone here. So we'll go ahead, close the phone, bring up the map, and we're going to Jefferson. We'll set our route. Now I do like to take it a little easy, because every little jump has a chance to shake it off the hooks, but usually you can get there pretty good if you drive reasonably well. So we will get this moved over to Jefferson and dropped off, and we will talk about payouts and what's not. All right, so as we pull up to Jefferson's, you can see our waypoint over here on the left. We'll come around the corner, we'll see the little green rings. Now that is where we want to deposit this dragster for payout. We managed to make it in one piece. We didn't lose the vehicle, despite traffic's best efforts to sabotage the run. Nice thing about the arm hook, this is the most efficient way for most pickups, is to use the repo arm, the tire claw, because you don't have to drive the vehicle, the repo vehicle as much, or the repoed vehicle as much. So you can just back it in. So we're gonna put this vehicle whichever way. You can get in and drive it over, or you can move it over with the hooks. But once we've stopped it in the right spot, sort of centered on the circle, there we go. So it cashes out, respawns our vehicle, we can put our hook back in the right position, etc. But the main thing we want to do is bring up the phone, bring up our repo, and you can see that we got paid 18,200. We went 6.2 kilometers. So my understanding of the repo payouts is that you get paid a base value for the vehicle you're picking up, the distance you traveled, how fast you did it, and the amount of damage the repoed vehicle took on the way. All of those factor into what you get paid in the end. So there you go. That's a basic repo job from start to finish. Now if we want another one, we just complete this and generate a new mission. Question number 3. How do I do taxi missions and what do all the numbers mean? Taxiing is actually pretty simple. You need a car that has 1 passenger seat or more. That is it. That's all you need to do to do taxiing. Anything from this Sunburst over here, Lansdale, we have an H series, city bus, even a Scintilla will work. So if we jump in, we'll jump in this kind of your basic start of the game vehicle is something you might start with. Once we are in the vehicle, we can bring up our phone. If we click on this taxi button, we'll get a little taxi interface. First 2 things you'll notice, we have number of passengers the vehicle can carry and our value multiplier. So the more expensive the vehicle, the higher this multiplier gets. If we click drive now, we'll get a 3rd one. This is our repeat multiplier, but we'll talk about that once we've delivered a job. So each vehicle kind of has its strengths and weaknesses, and you can find the configurations. So see if here, if we move up to this Lansdale, this is a 3.8 liter sport, all-wheel drive Lansdale, right off the marketplace, no modifications. We jump into this one once we get the phone off. And bring up the phone, bring up taxi. So now we have 6 passengers at 1.4 times multiplier, which is awesome. I know the Lansdale can get up to 7 if you change the 2nd row, I believe, to bench instead of bucket seats. You can get up to 7. This is a nice cheap option for doing taxi as well. Continuing along, we can get into our H series here. This one here is the extended crew carrier deal. So this one seats 9 at a 1.4, so it's very similar to Lansdale, but we get extra passengers. The bus is actually super nice. This isn't even actually the best bus. This is a pretty cheap bus. You can see we have a 2.4 multiplier, but it seats 44 people. So this is a pretty fun option too if you want to lean on the people multiplier. Now let's go look at this Scintilla. So the only thing I changed on this Scintilla is the rims and tires, because this is what we're going to drive today. Pretty much for the rest of this video, we're going to use this for everything else. Let's get into it and see what this looks like for taxi missions. So you can see it seats 1, but we have a value multiplier of 3.1. Little side note, the downside to leaning on the value multiplier is that as you drive this, the value will go down unless you're replacing parts with brand new parts. But that's okay. We're going to do it anyway. So we're going to click drive. So here's our first job. It's a standard fare. It's 1.2 thousand bean bucks per kilometer per passenger. So my understanding is, I don't know the actual formula, but my understanding is you multiply your rate per kilometer by the number of passengers, which is why the bus works really well or having the multiple passengers. However, we only carry 1 passenger. This is a 2.9 out of 5-star ratings. Higher star rating is your higher rate per kilometer, higher passenger count. We're going to accept this job. And now we're going to go to pick it up and I'll show you some other stuff. All right, so we are rolling up on our destination here. Pick up our passenger. You see that the waypoint changes when we bring up the phone. Now we have dropping off one passenger. We can look at the map, see where we're going. Okay, so this is a relatively short distance, so this one's not going to pay a lot, because again, it's a rate per multiplier. But we're going to go ahead and drop these off over here anyway, so I can show you what all the variables are. So let's drive it over there, and we'll be right back. Trying not to damage the car, but we'll go as quick as we can. We've already eaten up some of the time. Okay, so we're coming up on our drop-off. We just want to get as close, very close to the end of this waypoint. Looks like it's across here in this parking spot right here. So we're just going to park in here, right there. So you'll see up in the top left, we have you completed a taxi fare. Open your phone to view your earnings. I'm just going to go and lock this down. And you can see we made $2,883. Now let's look at some of the numbers. So we already know the standard fare. We know the number of passengers, the star rating. This is our repeat. So as we do more and more jobs, our payouts will get higher. We went 2.12 kilometers at a value rating of 3.1, and this is our speed. This is how fast we did it. So we got a 1.1. So we basically got an extra 10%, is my understanding, added on for how fast we did it. Could have gone faster. I didn't want to damage the car and have to start over this time. Usually I drive these like I stole them and get this up to like 1.5, closer to 2. But yeah, so as we do more and more, we'll get more and more value out of it. And then up here, as long as you don't stop driving, this will be a running tally of all the jobs you've done in this session. And that's basically the ins and outs of taxi missions. A few little thoughts on taxiing, just my thoughts. I prefer sort of a mid-range approach. I don't worry about the value of the vehicle as much. What I look for is number of seats, somewhere in the 4 to 7 range, or 9, 4 to 7 usually, and speed. And then I just do as many jobs as I can as fast as I can. Currently, I've been running an H series with 9 seats and about 500 horsepower, and I'm just not worrying about the value. That seems to make me about $100,000 in about half an hour, give or take, depending on variance. But that's basically taxi missions in a nutshell and how you do them. Let's get on to the next tip. All right, so for tip number 4, we're back here with our Scintilla. We're going to go ahead and get into it. This is how do I get to and from Italy, from West Coast. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring up the map. Now on the West Coast map, Italy is marked. The Italy travel point is this chevron's right here. It's inside a tunnel on the highway. So we're going to go ahead and set our route. You can see from here, we got to get up on the highway, travel up through the tunnel, and we'll get to Italy. So let's go take a look at what that looks like. I'll get us on the road. I will bring you guys back once we're ready to teleport over. Okay, so we're coming up on the tunnel at the end of the highway here, so I'm going to slow it down just so I can show you what's going on. We're going to want to keep to the right. We'll get around this van here. But if we keep to the right... Now, if you're on the right map, the proper update, around here we should have a split off. If you're on the right map, this tunnel is open. If you're not updated to the latest version that's Italy compatible, this will actually be blocked off, but we're just going to go ahead and travel down this new open right side tunnel until we hit the transfer right there. Okay, so we spawn in this tunnel here. Now, going backwards doesn't get us back to West Coast. You can see there's more Italy behind us, but we're going to go ahead and go forward into Italy here. And then we'll open the map once we've come out the other side of the tunnel. So you can see we are in fact in Italy on the highway into town. We're just going to pull over here before we wreck our Scintilla. Nice to drive a Scintilla in Italy, kind of makes sense, right? So to get back to West Coast from here, I don't want to do any spoiling here for future videos, but to get back to West Coast now, on this map it's not yet marked. I imagine that's coming in a future update. This is the first public release of Italy, so there are some things. So we're going to go up here. This is the airport. And what we want to do is we want to drive to the airport. We'll just go here for now. And you can kind of see it. What you want to do is when you come in, you want to take this center lane and stick to the right. So you're going through arrivals. And then when you get to this left here, you want to stay in the left lane. And somewhere near the middle towards the end here is the teleporter back to West Coast. So let's get us over there and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so here we are arriving at the airport. So we'll drive along here, and like I said, once you come up to the actual airport proper, you want to take the center pass. You can see here we can go right, we can go left, but we want to kind of go straight through here, and then to the right on arrivals, or arrive, I don't know how to say it in Spanish. We're going to just plow through these speed bumps. Should be okay. And then up here, we're turning the left. You want to stick to the left side. And when you get just past this crosswalk, we should teleport right here. And as you can see, we are now back in the West Coast driving down the highway. So that is how you get to and from Italy. Okay, and for our last tip for this video, this is kind of a bonus tip. If you are silver membership on the Patreon, you get access to the Hirochi map. This is later on in the future that will be public as well, so I figured I'd throw this in there for future public release as well. Let's go take a look at the map. Luckily, again, on West Coast, much like Italy, the transfer to Hirochi is marked on the map. So we're going to go ahead and select this. It's over on the pier, the parking lot across the bridge on the pier near the industrial area. So let me drive on over there and show you how you actually triggered the transfer. Okay, so we are at the parking lot on the pier, headed to Hirochi. We're just going to come around and just be careful, don't damage my car. And then you can see up here, there's this little piece of pavement between the yellow hash marks. We just drive along this. We teleport to Hirochi. Here we are, we're on the Hirochi map. Again, right now this is for silver tier supporters in the betas. Once they're ready to release it, it will be released to public, so this will be good information. Without spoiling too much, let's go ahead and show how we get home from here, since that's what this video is about. We'll bring up the map. You once again see that this map does not have it marked yet, and that's okay. This here is the tunnel we came in on from West Coast, so we just drove up this way. So if we head on back down the road and through the tunnel, we should get back to West Coast. So let's go do that. And here's the tunnel here. So we just drive into the tunnel and we're on our way back to the West Coast. And all right, here we are back in the West Coast. And that has been the top 5 non-bug related questions I have seen for RLS Career Overhaul. If there are some other questions you'd like to see looked at, I can definitely do that. Let me know in the comments down below and I will see what I can do. Or we can dive deeper and do kind of tutorial guide-like things into the various career paths. Just let me know what you guys want to see and I will make videos for them. But that is going to be it for this video. As always, take care of each other and we'll see y'all next time. I'm out of here.